everybody. I invite you to rise in body and spirit to sing our opening song. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build a common good and make our own days glad. For all that is. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build a common good and make our own days glad. When each each other serve, for services we for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with thanks and praise. For all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift that we are called to use to build a common good and make our own days glad. Come with praise. Come with praise and thanks for all that is our life. For all that is our life. For all that is our life. For all that is our life.
Good morning. I'm Mark Steinwinter, and I welcome to our live stream of UUA Public Chapel. Welcome to those of you who are in the building here at 24 Farnsworth, and especially welcome to those of you who are joining us online. This will be an interactive service. If you have a joy or concern to share with us this week, you can text it to us at any time by sending UUA Chapel to the number 22333. You'll then receive instructions on your phone for how to actually send your message along. If you're online, you can also follow the link in the video description. During the Joys and Concerns section of the service chapel, I will read your messages out loud, so please be mindful that this service is being publicly broadcast. Those of you here in person are still invited to come up and light a candle when we come to that point in the service. Chapel this morning is being led by Matt Meyer and Mark David Buckles. Composer, conductor, and multi-instrumentalist Mark David Buckles is the director of music at Arlington Street Church in Boston. And he's also the music director at Sanctuary Boston, a contemporary evening worship community. Mark also teaches music at MIT. Matt Meyer is a lifelong Unitarian Universalist and has led hundreds, maybe thousands, of services for UU congregations across the country. He is a founding member of the Lucy Stone Cooperative and works as a community organizer. He also serves as the Sanctuary Boston community as Director of Operations and as house drummer. I now invite you into a state of worship. Unitarian Universalism is a religious community that welcomes different beliefs and holds up shared values like each person's inherent dignity and the interconnected nature of the universe. No matter who you are, who you love, what you believe, or how you worship, you are welcome here, and we are glad to have you.
Our reading this morning comes from poet Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. She was born a free African American in Baltimore in 1825. She was a prolific poet, public speaker, and activist, as well as holding memberships at a Unitarian and AME church. In addition to publishing her first book of poetry at age 20, she wrote one of the first novels for an African American audience. She served also in leadership roles for a number of national organizations dedicated to abolition and the progressive movement, and she even personally helped those escaping slavery on the Underground Railroad. This is an excerpt from her poem, Songs for the People. Let me make songs for the people, songs for the old and young, songs to stir like a battle cry wherever they are sung. Not for the clashing of sabers, nor for carnage, nor for strife, but songs to thrill the hearts of all with more abundant life. Our world, so worn and weary, needs music pure and strong, to hush the jangle and discords of sorrow and pain and wrong. Music to soothe all sorrow, till war and crime shall cease, and the hearts of all grow tender, girdle the world with peace.
Now is the time in our service where we lift up those milestones, large and small, which give shape to our lives. You may have a great joy to share with us this week, or sad news, or perhaps a bit of both. We share these meaningful pieces of ourselves so that they may be held in love by the community, and so that we may appreciate the range of experiences and truths present in each and every day. Because we are streaming, we are asking everyone in the room as well to text in your joy and concern so that we can merge both online and offline experiences into a streamlined worship service. To share your joy or concern with everyone, send UUA Chapel to the number 22333, and you'll receive instructions on how to text your message. If you're online, you can follow the link in the video description. Again, please be mindful that this chapel service is being publicly broadcast. If you are here in person and would like to come light a candle, you may do so now.
Hi, I'm Christopher Hartley, and today I light a candle of sorrow for my sister Denise, who had the sad task of having to put her beloved dog Brighton down a few days ago. So, this is for Denise.
My name is Patty, and I'm just a half an hour ago, I knew I was going to share the joy that my husband and I celebrated our 11-year wedding anniversary on Sunday. And then right before chapel, got a call that my husband's cousin's husband at 40 years old just passed away last night unexpectedly. So, two things at once.
I'm Susan Lawrence, and I have a happy sad. My father has dementia, and the past few months we've been moving him from his home with my mother to a rehab place, and then now he's in a long-term place. And it's awful, but the siblings are behaving so well, and we're all telling each other such wonderful things about how much we appreciate each other. It's astounding. If you've seen us over the past 30 years, you'd be shocked yourself. And the best part is how magical my father's dementia is. And he's my person in our family. And I've been privileged to be able to go spend chunks of time with him and not just drop by. So when I go, it's a nice long visit. And I understand what he's saying. Like, I know enough about his life to figure out where he is and what he's putting together. And what a privilege to be able to spend this time with him. It's like every moment in his life is right now, and you never know what he's going to say or do. And then he surfaces and says something totally loving and sensible and right now-ish. And it's a remarkable experience. So it's really sad, but it's really good.
From online, joyful for the equinox and enjoying the turning towards spring. A candle of concern for my father, who's in the hospital due to still unknown reasons. For my mother-in-law, who is still reeling from the untimely loss of her husband, Paul. And for my sister, Denise, who had to put her beloved dog, Brighton, down earlier this week. I'll light one final candle for all those joys and concerns that go unspoken in our hearts.
Oh, I am waking up to find my world between the dying and being reborn. I see what is and I see what could be. Can't close my eyes again and go back to sleep. Fill my days with blessed unrest and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Fill my days with blessed unrest and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. How can I change our course? A lonely voice, wish I could lose myself in all the noise. But if we all would rise, a a generation proud, then with a mighty song we could turn this world around. Sing it with me. So, fill my days with blessed unrest, and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Fill my days with blessed unrest, and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Ancestors all behind, and before me every child. Ancestors all behind, and before me every child. Ancestors all behind, and before me every child. I bring the power of a long, unbroken line. So when our time is through, I want to know, did what we came to do for the future ones. So in our darkest days, may we all be strong and give our lives so life may go on. Fill my days with blessed unrest, and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Fill my days with blessed unrest, and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Fill my days with blessed unrest, and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Turning for the turning of the tide, for the turning of the tide.
Let us make songs for the people, songs for the old and young, songs to serve as a battle cry wherever they are sung. Music to soothe all sorrow till war and crime shall cease, and the hearts of all grow tender. Hold the world in peace, hold the world in peace. I've spoken here at these chapel services before about the Lucy Stone Cooperative where I live and how we have a practice of singing together on Sunday evenings, which has become an important spiritual practice in my life. It's part of how I fortify myself for the week ahead. As I say, it's a little bit of how I get the courage to open my inbox on Monday morning. Because of my involvement with our cooperative, I was part of a meeting this past December that brought together millennial community builders who are religiously non-affiliated, speaking with Catholic nuns who have been building intentional community in their own way for decades. It was affectionately called the meeting of the nuns and the nuns. Something that has stuck with me from this gathering was when the sisters spoke of the role of faith community as one of building mutually assured bravery. That is something I need now more than ever. And shared spiritual practice is part of how we do that in community together. If you agree that's something we need now more than ever, would you say out loud, mutually assured bravery?
Mutually assured bravery.
Singing is a spiritual practice for me that builds that bravery and helps shape the whole rest of my life. But it's also true that the rest of my life shapes my spiritual practice. At our Sunday night singing, we always end by singing Amazing Grace. It's always the same song, same words, same melody every time. Sometimes the harmonies are a little better than others, but that aside, it is striking, though, how different the experience is on different weeks. A while back, we sang this song in celebration at the end of a week when marriage equality had become the law of the land. More recently, a few weeks ago, we sang the song in grief when our government was trying for the first time to ban Muslims from our country. We've sung it on evenings when beloved housemates are preparing to move out and move on to the next chapter of their lives. And there have been nights when longtime partners who have divorced sit across the table and sing of grace to each other. Music to soothe all sorrow, songs for the people. If you have songs like that in your own life, would you say out loud right now, songs for the people?
Songs for the people.
This same spiritual practice is made always new as the story of our lives and relationships unfold. The music that we share reminds us of our deep reliance on one another, even as the music itself is shaped by our context. In 2011, our association held our annual meeting in Phoenix, Arizona, and because of severe immigration laws that had been passed there, or at least seemed severe at the time, we decided to have a different kind of gathering. We decided to step away from business as usual. If you agree that there are times when we need to step away from business as usual, would you say that? Step away from business as usual?
Step away from business as usual.
The end of our week there culminated in a gathering at the gates of Tent City. Tent City is this massive outdoor detention center for undocumented immigrants created by Sheriff Joe Arpaio, the sheriff of the Phoenix area, who built his career on racism against Latino immigrants. Sheriff Joe had bragged about how these immigrants, who for the most part had yet to be found guilty of any crime, had to live outside in tents in a desert, how they were only fed 2 meals a day, and he even went so far as to refer to this tent city as a concentration camp. And so we gathered at the gates there in some particularly unattractive yellow shirts. Hundreds, it's true, hundreds, and then 1,000, and then several thousand of us. We listened to the testimony of undocumented people who feared for their safety and for their families in this culture of increasing racial profiling, mass incarceration, and xenophobia. We prayed deeply for the detainees, for our country, and for our own souls. And we sang. We sang songs to call one another to action. We are marching in the light of God, sung by those who opposed racial segregation in South Africa. Spirit of life, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Hasta moldear la justicia de la vida, a song written as a prayer after a particularly hard organizing meeting for women's rights. We sang Come, Come, Whoever You Are, a poem of inclusion and hospitality and welcome, written by a Muslim political refugee named Rumi. These are songs for the people that Frances Harper wrote about so beautifully. They are songs to serve like a battle cry wherever they are sung. If you have songs like that in your life, would you say out loud right now, battle cry? Battle cry. Our singing was a promise to return home and do the work that love demands of us, to build the local relationships and organizing that needs to be done, to give our lives the shape of justice. And the power of that gathered community singing together gave me some of the strength to do the work ahead. But being in the streets also shaped the meaning of the singing in a way that was new to me. It just means something totally different to sing about peace when the audience includes armed guards who are keeping immigrants from their families. To sing "We Are Marching in the Light of God" is a different song if we are literally marching in the streets. And singing "This Little Light of Mine, I'm Gonna Let It Shine" became altogether new for me when I was lifting a candle in the air, and it was one of 2,000 candles, which were not just symbolically, but literally bringing light to people imprisoned in the darkness of a detention center. Well, on November 8th, we elected a president who has promised to deport all undocumented immigrants and build a wall on our southern border. On that same day, Sheriff Joe Arpaio lost his position and lost his election after 23 years in office, and he is no longer the sheriff of Maricopa County. I should note, lest I be misunderstood, that this historic victory was not necessarily the result of Unitarians swooping into Arizona to have a big rally, but it was years of meetings and voter drives and organizing among immigrants that won the day. Carlos Garcia, the executive director for an immigrant rights group in Phoenix, spoke of this victory, saying, "The people Arpaio targeted decided to target him, and he lost his power when undocumented people lost their fear." Can you say mutually assured bravery? Mutually assured bravery. Now might be a good time to ask, in the wake of this little victory, where are you getting your bravery? And what are you going to do with it? Musician and singer Esai Barnwell of Sweet Honey in the Rock talks about the African perspective on music, which is that music always serves a function. It is like a tool, like a hammer. In African traditions, you don't sing a harvest song in springtime, and you don't sing a song for rowing upstream if you're going downstream. They're just different tools for different uses. Indigenous communities are more likely to say that a melody is beautiful because of the specific people gathered to sing it. Its value is in the function of bringing people together. Amazing Grace isn't beautiful because of its particular sequence of notes in the pentatonic scale or its use of 3/4 time. It's beautiful because we sometimes choose to use it as a tool to heal our brokenness, or to strengthen our spirits to do what we already know must be done. Francis Harper's vision of music to soothe all sorrow goes deeper than well-crafted lyrics or a unique arrangement of a melody. In her case, the gift of her poetry and her writing was made more whole, more powerful, because she also worked to shift our country towards love and justice. She was a model of mutually assured bravery. Her words gave inspiration to her actions, and her actions gave depth to her words. So, dear ones, I invite you to join me in recommitting to the kinds of spiritual practice that give our lives the shape of justice. Would you say justice? Justice. And I invite you to join me in recommitting to living the kind of life that gives our spiritual practice the shape of love. Would you say love? Love. May our voices rise up like the sound of a battle cry. Would you say battle cry? Battle cry. May our hands lift up light. Would you say light? Light. And may our hearts cultivate the mutually assured bravery to which love has called us. Would you say mutually assured bravery one more time? Mutually assured bravery. And let me hear you say love. Love. May it be so.
I invite you to rise in body and spirit. Sing together with us. and cold. We are marching in the light of God. 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 We are marching, we are marching. Oh, we are marching in the light of God. We are marching, we are marching. Oh, we are marching in the light of God. Little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. We are shining in the light of God. 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 We are shining, we are shining. Oh, we are shining in the light of God. We are shining, we are shining. Oh, we are shining in the light of God. We are shining, we are shining. Oh, we are shining in the light of God. We are shining, we are shining. Oh, we are shining in the light of God.
Thank you for joining the Unitarian Universalist Association's Public Chapel online. To learn more about Unitarian Universalism, or to find a congregation or faith community near you, visit uua.org. Follow us on Facebook to learn more about upcoming live broadcast public chapels at facebook.com/theuua. And please, take care.